In today's episode, I'm going to tell you the story of the forgotten British tractor brand Muir-Hill, specialized in the production of impressive tractor conversions based on Fordson and Ford tractors. How Muir-Hill started production of their machines, what was so special about their tractors, and what legacy this brand has left behind in the British tractor industry. All about that in today's episode. My name is Matheo, welcome to my channel. I am a farmer and tractor enthusiast from Poland, introducing you to this amazing world of tractors and heavy machinery from all around the globe. If you like my documentary and would like to see them more on my channel, be sure to leave a thumb up and subscribe to my channel in order not to miss any of my new videos. And quick message before we start, I would like to invite you to my Facebook group Matheo Machinery, where you can find more interesting facts from the world of tractors and heavy machinery. All the necessary links can be found in the description of this video. And now, without further ado, let's get right into the story. The history of Muir-Hill tractors began in the United Kingdom in the early 1920s in Old Trafford, Manchester. Initially, the main activity of the Muir-Hill company was focused on the production of railway equipment with a particular emphasis on narrow-gauge railways. The company name comes from its founders' surnames, Mr. Muir and Mr. Hill. The company gained its popularity primarily for the production of their diesel locomotives, which in fact were specially converted Fordson tractors. The conversion was quite simple. They were mounting a ready-made factory tractor on a special trolley and leading the drive to its wheels via a drive chain. The customers of these atypical machines were mainly quarries and open-cast mines, where tractors converted in this way transported the output of slate or granite. The production of Muir-Hill rail vehicles continued until the end of the 1930s. Meanwhile, Muir-Hill was acquired by Edward Boydell, and the company focused on the construction industry and expanded its offer with dampers and loaders. In this case, just like with the locomotives, the designers also stuck to the rule that there was no point in reinventing the wheel again, and these machines were also based on Fordson tractors used in a quite creative way. In the following years, the company began to specialize even more in the production of construction machinery and tractor-mounted attachments. During the World War II, the company produced over 14,000 of their dampers, produced at the request of the government. After the war, they will be massively converted for agricultural use as power cars. Muir-Hill also implemented then in their dampers a two-way drive system with a rotating driving position. This allowed their dampers to be able to move legally on public roads. In the 1950s, Muir-Hill presented its first mini-loader, which was quite unique for 1951. 3 years later, the company released also a tractor-based loader named 2WL, which was quite successful on the local market, and later they also announced a new series of forklifts and crane of its own design. So far, Muir-Hill's production focused mainly on construction machinery, but that was going to change soon, and the company were to start producing farm tractors. In 1959, Muir-Hill was bought by Winnet, a well-known British manufacturer of dampers and concrete mixers, which also offered mini tractors. By the way, the Winnet brand has been operating on the market to this day and still offers small dampers and concrete mixers. Following the takeover of Muir-Hill, the production of the factory was moved from Manchester to Gloucester. The production of larger loaders, such as the Muir-Hill BD4, was started there. In 1966, the company also entered the agricultural market, where it was present a little earlier thanks to its loaders. This time, however, it will be a production strictly dedicated to farmers. You have to know that in the second half of the 20th century, the British Isles were full of companies like Muir-Hill. Of the larger ones, it is worth mentioning Northrop, Chayside, Medbro or County, but there was also a large number of smaller craft workshops dealing with converting tractors into various types of specialized vehicles or simply modifying them. The British particularly liked the conversion of Ford and Fordson tractors to big 4 equal size 4-wheel drive tractors. Muir-Hill was exactly one of such constructions, but more on that in a moment. Shortly before that, David J.P. Brown joined the company. He was a talented engineer, previously working for a competitive company, British Northrop, dealing in essentially the same way as Muir-Hill. That is to say, the production of dumpers and loaders based on farm tractors. When he was still working in the previous company, Brown designed a farm tractor on equal wheels based on the Ford 5000 series. While still in Northrop, he managed to put into production several tractor models, some of which have left the factory in the number of over 100. After coming to Muir-Hill, he decided to continue developing his project, which resulted in the Muir-Hill MH101 tractor, also based on the Ford 5000 series, but with a changed, more powerful engine. Muir-Hill MH101 was equipped with a 6-cylinder, less than 6-liter Ford engine with 101 horsepower and 8-speed gearbox. For this model, the company also released a dedicated dumper trailer mounted on such a large heavy hinge hitch. This design will not gain a great popularity, but it will be a starting point for the modern dumpers we know today. Muir-Hill MH101 also saw its facelift version, the MH110 model, shortly thereafter. Meanwhile, Muir-Hill's owner, his parent company Winlet, was acquired by Babcock & Wilcox, also one of the major manufacturers of construction machinery in those years. In 1969, Muir-Hill unleashed its largest tractor ever, the MH161, with an 8-cylinder Perkins engine generating 185 horsepower. At that time, it was the largest and the most powerful farm tractor produced in England, dedicated to the largest farms. Its production continued until 1975. Although it should be noted that these tractors were never made from scratch and the entire base for them were previously Fordson or Ford tractors. Muir-Hill and other manufacturers were redesigning them, adding 4-wheel drive, equal-size wheels and comfortable cabin, making them more powerful and better adapted to the needs of Iceland farmers. In 1972, Muir-Hill entered the market with the MH121, the successor of the MH101, and the MH111, which was replacing the MH110. In 1975, the famous MH161 was also updated to MH171 with an engine upgrade. It was still the 8-cylinder Perkins engine, but the power unit was changed to another model, generating about 177 horsepower. In 1978, the third generation of Muir-Hill tractors made their debut with the MH141 model. The customer could choose whether he prefers a Perkins engine or a Ford engine, but however they both generated similar power of about 145 horsepower. The MH141 model was unfortunately the first and also the last tractor of the Muir-Hill third generation. The production of these atypical structures lasted until 1982. Muir-Hill, as a part of the Babcock Construction Equipment Group, was sold and became part of the German manufacturer of construction machinery Wilbau AG, which was a part of the German IBH Group. You may not know the IBH Group, but back in the 1970s, it was one of the largest conglomerates producing construction machinery. It included such well-known brands as Zettelmeyer, Hanomag, Ham-Heimak or Terex, as well as many more. I have only mentioned the most famous ones. And here we could basically end the history of Muir-Hill tractors, as it was the end of the production under this brand, but I wouldn't be myself if I didn't check the further fate of the company. Just a year later, in 1983, the IBH Group filed for bankruptcy and the Winlet and Muir-Hill plants were taken over by the loader and forklift manufacturers Sanderson. The new owner sold the last 3 units of Muir-Hill tractors to British Steel, but I'm not sure whether they sold these machines for scrap metal or for work, because unfortunately the source I used does not specify it. However, I assume the second version, because scrapping a brand new tractor would not be a very sensible move, especially in the process of restructuring a company. However, the bad streak continues as the company collapses only 6 years later, in 1990. Sanderson is bought by Evelyn Barford, a subsidiary belonging to the well-known Leyland brand. Just 1 year later, Muir-Hill is sold again and purchased by Lloyd Loaders of Hipperholm, Yorkshire. Lloyd Loaders has been specializing in servicing and rebuilding Cheeside loaders, now known as JCB, for many years. They began to rebuild Muir-Hill tractors at the factory for individual orders from farmers and also to produce Muir-Hills for private orders, but it was probably not very large production. And that's how the Muir-Hill tractor story ended. A really interesting brand. Let me know in the comments what do you think about Muir-Hill tractors. I'm curious, do you like them? And that's it for today's episode. I hope you liked my video. If so, be sure to leave a thumb up and subscribe to my channel in order not to miss any of my new videos. I also invite you to check out our Facebook group Matheo Machinery for more interesting facts from the world of tractors and heavy machinery. You can find all the necessary links to the group or my Facebook page and Instagram account in the description of this video. And now thank you for watching and see you again in my next episodes. Bye!